Unicole Unicron Friends unite. Business frequency, aliens in sight. Turn up the volume and settle in. Your mind will be blown. Let's begin.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Unicole Unicron and Friends. Today's guest is a magical, mystical, divine being named Kwonyin. Kwonyin, what is your astrology? I know you're a Cancer sun. What's
Cancer
your moon and
sun.
rising?
Aries moon, Scorpio rising.
Scorpio rising.
Yep. I got the fire and water, steamy.
Well, I'm just a little hot spring. I'm so happy that you are here on this show because it's called Unicole Unicron and Friends, and you are just one of my dearest friends, and you have shown me what friendship really is, and like just helped me through so many childhood wounds around friendship, but also just in every single space. And I'm always talking about your healing because it's so profound for so many people and it's so necessary. And so I could just talk forever, but welcome.
Thank
What
you.
a beautiful day it is to have you here today.
Yeah, I really appreciate you and all the deep dives we've had in the past where there's really just nothing really taboo between us.
Nothing.
Like nothing could really totally shock you or each other. We're like, oh,
Yeah. And it's,
yeah,
you know,
let's go there. So down to go there.
totally. And I love that because I hold that space for everyone and you hold that space for everyone, but it's like so uncommon that other people hold that space for us, so it's really nice to have that container. And, we have some other friends who are also capable of that, but it's just really special to be in that unconditional, non-triggered, not non-triggered, but like willing to work through, eternally triggered, like willing to work through.
I do feel like you're probably one of the most, you're like unfazed.
I've been through a lot. Yeah.
I know you've been through a lot, and I just feel like you have such a vast capacity to understand the deepest, kind of like gnarliest things about human existence.
Yeah, I think reading a lot of books also has really helped because I'm like, yeah, that's normal. That's normal. I'll read the craziest things in books. So, but yeah, the shadow work stuff is really amazing. I really want to talk just like briefly about your background because it's so interesting. You're Korean American. That plays a lot into like who your identity is and like what role you're, playing on earth and like the frequency that you hold and your art and like how you focus your energy. So, and like I just like give us a rundown of like where you were born, like how you grew up, and then like where you went to school. Like I want to hear about the yoga journey, everything.
Oh, wow. Okay. Spotlight moment. Also, okay, BTW, something that's really being highlighted for me. I mean, all the time, but especially now, or I don't know, it always feels like now is always the especially moment, But so, okay, my north nodes in Gemini, 8th house, and my Chiron is also in Gemini, 8th house.
Oh,
which Gemini is ruled by Mercury, which is about communication. 8th house is intimacy, sex, death, rebirth, transformation house. So I have a lot of wounding and expansion in the realm of communication.
yeah. So your North Node and your Chiron being there is like your life purpose hurts you.
Yeah, exactly. Like, okay.
So painful.
My soul kink.
My stellium, my Leo stellium is in the 8th house. So it's interesting that we have that shared.
Wait.
But I don't think it's in Gemini. No, okay. I don't know. I don't totally understand all of astrology.
Yeah. I don't feel like your thing is around communication. I see you as someone who's such a
No, I don't think it's Gemini.
Yeah.
And it's not my Chiron. That's just my Leo stellium, but very, very, very interesting. So how are you processing?
So I just want to have that as my preface before going into my life story, with just that as an overarching theme of blocked communication, being really shy, being introverted. Well, these are all, I say that in quotations because I think that's what I started to identify with the more that I suppressed myself as someone who doesn't know how to speak up, is more withdrawn. But I see that those were also coping mechanisms for like growing up in a household, in a family, culture, society where I just didn't really belong, didn't feel like I belonged. So anyway, yeah, born in Korea.
And then I mean, not everybody has a good understanding of like what Korean culture is like. Like, do you
Yeah.
want to give your explanation of that?
Okay, well, they call Koreans, I mean, we're kind of like the Italians of Asia, I think.
I love that. As an Italian, I love that.
They're like spicier. I mean, our food's spicy, but also yeah, I mean, I think one of the reasons why my mom wanted to leave Korea was because there's just a lot of really kind of intense groupthink. It's just much more homogenous there, and there's a lot of the culture that can feel restrictive if you it's hard to be an outsider there because everything's so much more uniform and family oriented. And so, I don't know, you know a bit about the K beauty culture. Koreans are really into beauty. And that's one of my like storylines too with my spiritual awakening, coming through all the programmed beauty standards and just the shadows of that.
Would you say it's also like performative, like more performative, or I mean, I think all cultures are, but
yeah, I feel like there is a very fixed set like gender roles, you know? So yeah, like women's worth is determined by her appearance and, all the qualities that make a good wife and mother. Like you don't even get to keep your name once you become a mother or a Mrs. Like you become this person's wife, this person's mother.
Wow,
You don't even get to have your name anymore.
that's wild.
Yeah. So growing up in that, and we moved when I was 4, so I had a little bit of my initial years in Korea, but then moving to the States, to California with my family. And, in the family, I guess my Korea was just what I learned from my parents because there weren't very many other Koreans. So, they kept their Koreanness and I spoke Korean at home. And language was just kind of a weird, complicated thing with speaking Korean at home, English outside. And then there was a point where my English got better than my Korean. And so there started to be a language barrier with my parents. And
What age was that?
I mean, even starting from like 5, 6, 7, 8. And I'm sure it wasn't just the language barrier, right? There was also an emotional barrier.
Cultural. You were probably assimilating faster.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I think a lot of children of immigrant parents can relate to this, where you become the parentified child, where because you're assimilating faster and learning the language faster, so then the roles get switched, and then my sister and I becoming more of the, okay, we have to teach our parents or translate this for our parents and see our parents in a more like needing help role.
Yeah.
Which also kind of fucks with the power dynamics or the caretaker versus caretaker dynamic. Yeah. So yeah, it's identifying as just I think I was more of a kind of I liked more sitting back and observing human behavior more so than participating in it. I think.
You identify as a starseed.
What's your definition of a starseed?
My definition is someone whose soul originates or has spent more lifetimes in other realms than Earth.
Like I don't consciously remember that.
Yeah.
But I guess I've always felt like an old soul.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I didn't even really like playing with other children. I mean, when I was younger, I really wanted to observe what the adults were talking about. No. So yeah, observing human behavior, I was just interested in psychology. I'm like, why are my parents so fucked up? What are they upset about? And I don't know, maybe that's a trauma response too, but I was just really engrossed in what's making them react this way.
And what was your first like path into that? Like, we have some friends who it's like astrology. They used astrology to understand their parents. Like, what was how did you go about understanding them?
Well, it was just something that I was just, you could say, taking notes for a long time throughout the course
Yeah.
of my life. But it wasn't until I think Saturn return
Mhm.
where shit started really hitting the fans for me with all these patterns that I was just totally unconscious to the way that I was relating to myself. I was just like, this is who I am. This is just how I react. And as we know, or maybe you don't know, those watching, like Saturn return is a time when like the structure of your life is completely collapsing in order to make way for the structure that you want to create yourself. So my default structure was extremely not conducive for my well-being. Let's just say like that. And that's when I started to connect the dots as I really started to dive deeper into shadow work and inner child work, where I started to kind of depersonalize these things that I was feeling with, oh, this is not just me, this extremely fucked up person experiencing fucked up things I couldn't make sense of, and seeing these as patterns. Like I was simply responding to the patterns that I had been born into with the
So
thought
more so
pattern,
like
belief patterns, and all this.
ancestral, epigenetic,
Yeah,
societal.
yeah, yeah. And one of the major ones, which was something I had really, I didn't know how deep this went, but this was definitely a deep Korean feminine shadow of my worth coming from my appearance. My worth is how attractive I am to the masculine gaze. And I wasn't conscious with how deep this went until I experienced like an intense loss of what I perceived to be my beauty when I started having these like really intense, you could say that was around 2012 world
What was it?
timelines were like, I don't know, I was going through this whole like body detox moment, and
Yeah.
I was going through like intense acne flare up, and everything's connected. Like your physical body is like physical symptoms are your mental and emotional things, coming to the surface. And there's just a lot there with, I wasn't connected to my anger. I was suppressing my anger. I was just like squashing everything down. And then it was like having all this inflammation. It was coming out through my skin, and I was feeling hideous and so mortified, and like I'm so worthless. I couldn't leave my flat. I was living in Berlin at the time. I just started to really isolate myself and feel
Yeah.
like I'm unworthy of being alive because I'm ugly.
Wow.
And it sounds
So that's how no, like I
dark.
get it. Yeah, because like I think
Even like, what, really? Because you
I
have
think everyone feels that way to some extent, right? And
about
then
something, right? Everyone has something that like,
but when you dive into like the specific frequencies that the patterns, the specific patterns that you are tapping into, and like, we've talked a lot about how when you're healing on the level that you and I heal on, which is like a very expansive level of like holding space for a reality beyond our own consciousness, we really are transmuting energy like in the field for the collective,
Mhm.
not single-handedly, of course, like in collaboration with everyone else, but it's like what you are tapping into, and like the weight that you are carrying then, I believe, is like the global reality of what it means to suppress
Yeah,
and put everything into beauty and have so much pressure on
yeah,
yourself
uh-huh,
to be perfect and not express,
yeah.
right?
Not express, not express my fear, my shame, anger, the loss. Yeah,
Hey friends, if you've ever felt like you don't quite belong in this world, Unicult might be the family you've been looking for. It's a community built on love, joy, and higher consciousness. Join Unicult.com.
So how did that resolve? Like, how did it culminate?
there were definitely phases of it. The first initial stage was, I'm freaking out. What can I do on a physical level? That was my first thing. Like, okay. And I started to research, like, oh, this is a candida issue, you know? So
Yeah.
that's on one level. But then it's felt like that wasn't, somewhere I just knew that's not it though. I mean, like, yes, but there's more. I felt like there was more, and I was sensing like there's it's like this feeling of, I felt claustrophobic. I'm like, I just know there's so much more to this and I'm not seeing it. I was aware that I didn't know something and it was bugging the shit out of me. And I even knew, I thought, I don't even think it's in this dimension.
Whoa.
Even though I just knew like whatever I'm seeing in my physical reality and whatever, I just knew there's more to this. And I'm frustrated that I don't know yet, but I just had this faith inside myself that I would get there. I would have to get there in order
Yeah.
to solve this.
Because you said you were feeling like you weren't even like wanting to be alive because of
Yeah,
this.
I wasn't even wanting to be alive. Yeah, I would get into these intense shame spirals where I couldn't stop like looking at the mirror and just going into just the most intense self-hate spell. Like I'm just,
Oh my gosh.
and I knew like this is bad, but like I'm like, but it's so I was addicted. It was
Yeah.
like it was like a severe addiction to self-hate.
Well, it's probably all of the suppressed anger and everything. Just you needed an outlet.
Yeah, I needed an outlet, and
You were the
I
only.
was taking it out on myself,
Yeah.
you know? And like so that's when I started, thank God for YouTube at that time. I was just, holed up in my flat and like, okay, I need some answers. And I started to find some different YouTube people. The first one was Ralph Smart, and the second one was Teal Swan. And
Oh,
the
geez.
first one, the OGs, right?
Mama and Dada.
Thank God for them.
Seriously.
The thing that clicked for me with what Ralph was saying about acne was it was the first time someone connected a physical symptom to the emotional. And he said, you've got to accept yourself 100%.
Whoa. How did you feel when
And
you
the way
heard
that he
that?
said that, like, he's very effusive, right? He's like,
Yeah.
gotta accept yourself 100%. And I was watching, like, that concept of accepting myself 100% just blew my mind. I had
I'm
never
sure.
known that that was possible.
It was probably like a bomb in your mind.
It was a bomb.
Like,
It was a
yeah.
bomb. I was like, what? Like, but he's emanating that as a reality.
Yeah, he's got that frequency.
Yeah.
You feel it in his words.
So
Like, it's
it was
not just
also like,
something you can
right.
write off.
So it's like interrupting like some other frequency in me, like my ancestral feminine trauma frequency of like oppressed feminine. And it was like, accept myself. And then I decided I was gonna try it out. I'm like, I tried everything. I'm so like, this is the one thing I haven't done, which is try to accept. Just accept
Wow.
myself. So I was looking in the mirror. I was having a bad skin day. I'm like feeling wretched because I also wanted to, like, there was a show later that night. My friends were playing and I felt like, what am I going to say? Like I already told them I was going to go for weeks. What am I going to say? I can't go because I'm too ugly. You know, like I was like even ashamed. I was ashamed of my truth. I was like, I got to figure something out. So I went to the mirror and I kid you not, this was the most psychedelic experience,
I believe it.
like intense psychedelic experience where I was just looking into my eyes, into my face, and like all the repulsion, disgust was just like there again, and my self-hate tirade going off. And I just said, okay, bring it. Just keep saying it and just keep staying and just say, I accept me. I accept you 100%. I accept your repulsion. I accept your disgust. I accept your hatred. I accept your fear. And I was there. And then as I was doing that, I just started like something like I could literally feel something inside me implode.
Whoa.
It was like this energetic, like, it was like the oppressed feminine, I don't even know what to call it. It was like some internal template that I had been like imprisoned under was starting to like, it was like crumbling before my eyes. And I started to like cry. I was like, oh my God, this is insane. Like such a catharsis. It was like,
Wow.
and like weeping. And it was like the woe of what was behind that hate was so immense. Like the sorrow of like never being loved as I am.
Oh,
Like through all the generations, the sorrow of like, I've always had to mask and hide this and hide what I feel and hide my pain and hide my sadness, hide my fear, you know? And it's just like of like all the things that were caged that just could never felt safe to exist as it is.
That is so profound.
Like, holy fuck, what did I just uncover here? Yeah. And it's like, okay, I accept you 100%.
Did you go to the show?
I ended up going to the show. And you know what was so trippy was after that happened, like that activation and implosion, and then I could see my eyes like really like it was like I was beaming this, there was like this light coming through my eyes of like could like really let myself see me now. Like I was seeing into me. Whereas before I was just looking at me, just judging it. But I was like, oh no, now I see me, like seeing into me. And then, obviously skin can't change in like, what was that, like 20 minutes? I don't know how much time passed.
Yeah.
40 minutes? I don't know. But I felt beautiful. Like I felt my beauty.
I will say that one time I did see you get a zit and you said, oh, I have to go meditate. And you healed it in a matter of hours and it was gone. And I had never seen anything like it. So you are a master of this craft. But the recognition of your beauty is more than skin deep, of course.
Right. Because it was this power. It was this like self-recognition of my beingness. Yeah. And it's like, okay, I'm going to this party. I'm going to this show. I felt really tender. I felt fragile. I wasn't, like, okay, now I'm so proud of myself. It was,
Yeah.
it was definitely like it's like each step. I was like, okay, I'm so terrified of being ugly, but accept myself.
Yeah, you're building those new neural pathways.
Yeah, it was such a neuron workout.
It's really hard.
It was so like, and then going there and then seeing friends and they're talking to him and I'm like, I could see the panic come up like, oh my God, they think I'm ugly. Oh my God, they're gonna run away because they think I'm so hideous. And I'm like, just breathe. Oh, I accept myself. Yeah, that was truly a workout.
So was that your spiritual awakening?
Yeah, that was the first of,
Yeah.
yeah.
That was like the trigger.
Yeah. But I would say that was one of the most, like the biggest catalysts. Yeah. To then like, okay, now this deeper emotional realm, it has been exposed. Like, okay, it's like you just uncovered this whole hidden sub basement of the house you had been living in your whole life and you never knew there was this whole subterranean, realm.
Reality, yeah. And
Reality, yeah.
dimension that you were feeling into. I kind of feel like, you are the goddess Kwonyin, which is so amazing. And also like time isn't real. So like you were probably channeling from both that place and also just like having uncovered like all your future knowledge was probably just like knocking on that door, of like, what is like, I know there's something there. And it's
Right, yeah.
amazing how our future selves can really guide our past selves to
Truly,
find these things out
yeah.
when we need them.
Like I had to be born into this culture and this family and in this time where there's just such lack of understanding and awareness of emotions.
Yeah, and the amount of awareness that you have brought microcosm to yourself, to your friends, to your clients, me, and macrocosm to the world because it ripples out, like I have a platform and everything that you've taught me, I've taught. It's like it ripples out and it's
Yeah.
just amazing.
And
When
the people that you influence then or like have an awakening,
Exactly.
then it's
When I first met you, I was still in a very difficult place. I had very severe BPD. I hadn't yet necessarily understood that I had autism. And I had severe PTSD, CPTSD from my childhood. And like, I just didn't even know how to process it. I was literally blacking out when I would have emotional reactions. I would become violent. I would hit people. I would break things. I would scream. I would throw myself on the floor. I would cry crawl under a bed or slam a door, climb into a closet. Like it was so constant and common that I would have these emotional meltdowns. Some people would say autistic meltdown. Some people would say, BPD meltdown, maybe it's a trauma thing, whatever. but no one could help me. I did years and years and years of therapy. I was on all the drugs. I tried everything. I had done DMT, DMT, CBD, CBT, DMT, CBD. No,
We haven't talked about that one.
the cognitive behavioral, dialectical behavioral therapy and things like that. They didn't work for me.
Mhm.
And so when I met you, I was instantly drawn to you. We met at a
Flower
healing Kwonyin. Yeah, it was like a flower brushing and a channeling of like the flower essences. And it was so crazy because I had just recently seen you on Instagram and I had followed you, like you,
Mm.
and I never did that with anyone, but I was like, this person seems really cool. So I followed you, and then we ended up at the same event together, and we ended up being partners in this flower brushing. And so
Yeah.
you were flower brushing me, and I was like, and this has happened to me a couple times where like I fall in love with people who are like sensitive energetically. I'm like, who are you? You know, but you were flower brushing, and I was like, you know what's up? Like, who are you? Like, there's something like really powerful here. And I just knew that I needed to work with you from that.
Mm.
I worked with you as my coach, and I was your, you know, your client.
Yeah.
And what the space that you held for me allowed me to, I'm telling you, my emotions were so strong. I was afraid of the ocean, because the ocean for me was like a metaphor of all this uncovered things that I couldn't look at. I couldn't even be fully conscious when I went into that space because it was so painful.
Yeah.
But you taught me how to hold that space. You held that space for me, and you taught me how to go into those spaces and do that self-acceptance, unconditional love, seeing what's really at the root of these horrible monsters we call,
Mhm.
you know, hypersexual or violent or angry. It's like those are the surface level things, but what's at the root of them
Mhm.
is usually a scared little child.
Oh, totally.
And so you showed me that, and like you literally cured me. Like no doctor has ever even come close. I had doctors telling me, there's no hope for you. You're going to kill yourself. Like there's literally nothing we can do for you. And you are the one who helped me. So God bless you for being who you are.
I'm so glad you didn't listen to them and you just kept going your way.
Well, I don't know if it was like intentional, but I had to spite them then, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just amazing what you have brought to this world. Like you said, this world that really we did not understand emotion.
Yeah.
The patriarchal reality where women are considered to be dramatic and you're supposed to like act like a man and not have any outbursts or anything, you know, and then men are allowed to actually have outbursts, and it's all backwards.
It's so backwards because usually the one who's experiencing, like the one who's encountering something that's maybe toxic or unworkable or pain, like, of course you're going to have an emotional reaction if something's causing you pain, right? Especially in a relationship. But what's messed up is we're so used to seeing the one who's expressing the pain, their anger or frustration, as the one who's, you know, doesn't have their shit together or something.
Right, when actually they're the ones who are telling the truth of the entire system.
Exactly. And I see this so many times I've seen this with my other like female friends where like in a relationship, they're the ones who are experiencing something there's some kind of dynamic in the relationship that's causing them to react, because we're human. Of course, like there's something painful, there's a reaction. And then it's so sad to like see then the demonization of that reaction and not put the focus on where it should be, which is the unworkability that's happening in the relationship.
Yeah, or even like the inability for that truth that's at the root of that reaction to exist.
Yeah.
Right? It's almost like if you are an abuser, let's just say, like you've got your reasons for being an abuser, and then you abuse someone and they're reacting, then you can keep you're avoiding. It's like it's almost a good thing for you if they're reacting, because you can demonize.
Yeah.
It totally distracts from your bad behavior.
Totally. And then
But you
never really a
empathy.
core issue.
Yeah.
As long as the blame is being put on the person who's angry, like reacting to the workability. So
And a lot of your work and is to like hold space for those authentic reactions,
mhm.
right? And to not repress them. What is the value of that? How do you describe it?
I just, that's one of my favorite things when I'm working with someone who's feeling bad about feeling bad, and like kind of expecting that they'll be judged for it, but coming into the space where I'm like literally like, oh my God, like let's go. I want to hear your nasty, filthy, angry bitch, or like vile, heinous, like monster. Like I want, like, yes, that's
Or like for me, you've held space for my just like absolute unending, eternal sadness, just like the total dejection of and it's just crazy because like as you've held space for that feeling has no longer taken up space in my day-to-day life. It's like it needed an outlet, so it was like knocking every day
yeah.
and giving me depression.